Hello, and welcome to the Dead Man Walking podcast. I'm your host, Repeatedly Dead Fred, and I'm also the author of the upcoming medical trauma memoir, The Summer I Died 20 Times. Thus, the name Repeatedly Dead Fred. And yes, I did die 20 times. Today, we're going to be talking with author Michal Stawicki, who is both an author and has a business that supports authors trying to get their own works published. So let's get at it. Michal, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Fred.
My pleasure. It took us a couple of attempts to get connected, but we're here, and I'm excited to hear what you have to tell us. So, what can you tell us about what you're writing?
I'm writing personal development stuff based on my own experience. I read the book The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson 10 years ago and decided to change my life implementing small daily habits. And I really am amazed how successful that was. And 10 years ago, I was just stuck in my day job, IT in a big corpo, and didn't like it at all, and wondering what went wrong with my life. But I had 3 kids. I had mortgage. I couldn't just switch my life to something else. So I started side hustling, writing. Then I discovered book ads on Amazon and started helping other authors with that. And now I'm pivoting into coaching as well.
Oh, interesting. Did you know you could write at the time? Like, were you a technical writer, or this is just something that came to you, or something inspired you?
Yeah, something that inspired me. I was, a very avid reader when I was a teenager. There wasn't much to do in communist Poland, so I read like 2 books a day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I read a lot. I had good grades from Polish in across the board, yeah, from primary to high school. But and in the end, like, I work on myself a lot. So things like, overcoming your own weaknesses and going outside of your comfort zone, that was what I started to do. That's why, yes, I was terribly uncomfortable in writing in English and putting it out there. But in the end, I just did that. I, with the help of my friends who proofread my English, which is still far from perfect till this day, but come on, there is nothing editing cannot improve.
Yeah, but this is the second time we've talked, and your English is really good. Whenever I meet people that are English as a second language, they always think their English is, not up to par. But, everybody understands you.
That's right, but if I just translated my speech into writing, nope, that's not good. I'm sure I know because I've been edited a lot of time via different people. Yes. There are differences. Like, I still cannot wrap my head around all the tenses in English.
Neither can I. It's crazy. So, can we go back a second to the book that changed your life? What was it called again?
The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson.
Okay, because maybe there's others that would also benefit from that book. So, Jeff Olson, thanks. You're going to change lives.
Amen.
So how many books do you have out, Michal?
Right now, 19. Of course, I'm not counting translations.
19 in 10 years.
Yes, sir.
That is astounding.
Well, they are small books, most of them. Like my first one, I wrote and published it in 50 days. And it's less than 10,000 words. Because nonfiction can do that. And I really sold like over 10,000 copies of this book. It's a very, very small book about how to write your personal mission statement.
Mhm.
So like when you have a specific nonfiction topic, you don't need to beat a dead horse. You just write till you are finished with the topic. And of course, you can uh, beat the poor dead horse like
Mhm.
plenty of traditionally published authors are doing because they have the quota for the page count. But
Right.
it's not necessary. And really, I have few of so small books, like 3 or 4, and I sold tens of thousands of copies of them. And maybe I had a couple of complaints that they are so short. That's all.
Mhm. So you're now doing this full time? Are you totally out of the IT world?
Yes, I quit my day job at the end
Mhm.
of this August.
Oh, congratulations. So
Thank you,
that must
thank you.
have lifted a very huge weight off your shoulders.
Well, it was not such a huge weight
Hmm.
because I was doing it gradually.
Hmm.
After 5 years, I moved to half time. Then after
Hmm.
another year, quarter time. So now I just left this 10 hours a week, which wasn't that much, but
Hmm.
enough to like mm, really distract me. That was the trouble with
Hmm.
it. Oh, well, other than, of course, they paid me so much less than I pay myself.
Hmm. Well, I think what you're doing is a good sign for a lot of aspiring authors to show them that you don't have to be like a Stephen King or a J.K. Rowling to be able to make a good living as a writer. I mean, you can carve out your niche and do very well at it and support your family and even spin a side gig off that, which you're also doing.
Yeah,
So.
exactly. I remember when in 2012, I knew I need to start my own business, but I had no clue what could I do. Like
Mhm.
zero. I was lifelong employee, zero experience, and only bad examples around me, like my father bankrupted with his solo
Mhm.
gig. And so I had no clue, no clue. But after 5 years of doing self-publishing, uh, this opportunity came to my lap. I
Mhm.
I remember that I was sure I will never do anything for authors because there is so much of shoddy business there that I was
Mhm.
like, no, I don't want to be compared to that people. But
Mhm.
in my gig, mostly I'm paid by results. So the more
Mhm.
books we sell, the more I'm paid. And if we don't sell, then I'm not paid. So I guess I'm fine with that. Okay, compare me with whoever you want. I know that I'm providing the value.
Oh, good. Good. It's good to hear. So, what's the name of your company that provides the value?
Resurrecting books.
Oh, okay. So, and what do you do specifically in the business that helps out the authors? I mean,
Uh,
besides selling their books.
well, I could do a lot, but I'm focused on Amazon ads. So it's strictly where I'm getting money from.
Hmm.
There are some other elements like connected to that. When I get a new customer, we don't start the ads before I tell them how to optimize the book page, book description, because it just make no sense to start ads for unoptimized page because we will redirect the traffic. 1,000 people will land on the book page and 999 will run away because
Hmm.
it's not optimized. Yeah, so there are some like our own services I'm providing, and I know a lot of people in the self-publishing space. So when friends refer people to me, I can always, okay, I know someone who can make you a cover or do editing for you and so on. But
Hmm.
nope, I'm focused strictly on Amazon ads and that's it. Uh, and I really did different things like formatting and book launches and so on in the past, especially when there were hard times and I just needed money. But
Mhm.
it's not something I do enjoy, and I know a lot of people who are doing it better.
Mhm.
I can always refer someone to them.
Oh, awesome. Um, so does the SEO for Amazon, does that leverage your former IT skills in some
Not
way?
much, really.
No?
The whole advertising setup on Amazon is so wonky slash clunky that this is the main reason I have business. Like people are exasperated with it. They don't know first how to learn it and how to make it work. So they just delegate it out. And that's why I have a business. And I'm always saying the best person in the world to run their own ads is the author himself.
Hmm.
And I'm just the second best option.
I find as I've gone through the book writing process, um, and I was very naive going into this. I thought you just write a book and then somebody publishes it for you, and you're very successful. And you know, you find that you're essentially creating a small business or a not so small business, and you have to learn all the marketing and the advertising and where to get this service and that service. And it's a lot of work beyond the actual writing of the book and the editing of the book. So to have people like you that are a really good source of taking away some of those burdens is fantastic.
Thank you. But you don't have to learn it all, only if you want to be successful.
Only if you want to be successful. Yeah. I think most of us write just to have it sit on our bookshelf. So,
Yeah, that's the grim reality. There is so much competition. Uh,
mhm,
and like I discovered those Amazon ads. That's why I sold tens of thousands of copies. But if not that, I'm uh, giving so little attention to my books, like promoting them, marketing them.
mhm,
That would be similar case, like just sitting on the shelves, maybe selling uh, 2 dozen copies a month. And because this
mhm.
is the reality, if you do nothing, nothing happens unless you
Right.
have really mighty book, you are a genius and you landed some great readers who have big audiences and they are like, oh, come on, you need to read that book. Otherwise, no. And
Mhm,
those are, of course, shiny stories and they are loved and you can see
mhm.
them all over the news and social media, but they are not common. The
Yeah.
common path to success is right, and market like crazy all the time, period.
Mhm.
One of my customers is a romance writer and she has over 100 books.
Wow.
And I remember reading about her history on or listening to her on some podcasts. Like she told for 1 year she was working around the clock, just writing and
Mhm,
marketing and nothing else. And that's why she's so much more successful than the average author. Like
mhm.
this is almost like with any other business. Yes, of course, there is a factor of luck, a factor of talent, but
Mhm.
persistence can beat talent.
Oh, for sure, for sure. So maybe this isn't a fair question, um, but is there like a general part ballpark for people to budget for Amazon ads? Like if you don't spend a certain amount of money per month, it's not going to be effective to you. And are Amazon ads different pricing depending on where you're located? Like would I pay the same
Uh,
in Canada as somebody might in Germany?
yes, so those campaigns or rather advertising accounts are allocated to markets. So you have
Hmm.
your account for the US, you have another for Germany, and so on. And the pricing is different on each market, but it's all one marketplace. It's auction bidding system. So
Hmm.
the price is the function of competition. So you pay
Okay.
more in the US because there is Amazon has the biggest market share, and it's like childishly easy to run ads in French in France because there's not a big market, not many self-published authors. Well, now even traditionally published authors can advertise on Amazon, but so much less people knows how to do this, and I am operating practically in every market when it's allowed, where it's allowed. So I see the differences. Yeah, it's much cheaper. The rule of thumb is the bigger the Amazon share, the higher are the bids. So it's more expensive to advertise. That's one thing. You asked also about the budget. The reality is that it takes like several $100 minimum to run successful campaigns. But like I also discovered some backdoors, and for most of my customers, I don't do the real advertising. We just splash thousands and thousands of random keywords, long tail keywords, and they are getting enough traction to sell something. It utterly confuses the Amazon algorithm on what the book is about, because like everybody is seeing the ads and everybody is buying. But it can be done very cheaply. That's one. And the other is like, if alternative is just having a dead book, this is superior, because the average result for my customers is about 30 to 50 copies a month, which is not much. But if you wrote 10 books, that's 300 maybe. And this is something. And as I said, it's low bid, low budget. It can, like, some of my customers, they are spending less than $100 a month, and they are making some profit. So in the end, it's win-win-win for everybody, including Amazon, because they are getting the share for selling, the share for advertising, but it keeps the books afloat. Now, something can happen. Like, one of my own stories is that this personal mission statement book was somehow discovered by Bellevue University, and they asked me to do a webinar for their customers about this. So just out of the book, I earned $1,000 because someone read it. So when you sell a copy, this is possible. When your book is totally dead, well, it's not possible.
Interesting. So do you have a rough idea of how many books you've helped other people sell beyond your own?
The rough idea is around 135,000 books.
That's fantastic. That's really fantastic. So I don't think anybody's going to complain with those types of results.
Well, this is shared among like 100 customers of mine. So not so impressive per book or per author, but still, as I said, this is net positive.
Yeah.
So it's over 100,000 books more that were sold and ended up in the laps of readers. And such a stories like mine with Bellevue University could have started.
Well, I think if you think about it slightly differently, that most of these authors would have been lucky to sell 300 books without you, and you've bumped their sales, 3,000%. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, another, like, there is this, I would say it's a myth, but maybe not, metric that average self-published books sell less than 100 copies in its lifetime. Well, maybe that's true, because there is so much, hastily put together some things, and then it's not promoted at all. So only you, your spouse, and your mother buy it, and then that's all. But I was reading that article with that metric, and I was like, come on, how can it be true? Like, every single book I published, and it was before the ads, sold like few hundred copies at least, if not more.
Mhm.
Usually I was selling like 500 to 1,000 during the first month because I was putting some effort for the launch.
Mhm.
So like, and this is my experience. Some effort means more sales, and that's it. It's hard to like keep this effort going.
Mhm.
But even if you generate a good launch on Amazon and sell a few hundred copies in the first month, you will sell a few hundred copies in the next year. That's how is this algorithm is working.
Mhm. So it's sort of like in statistics, what's that called? The binomial distribution. You have your big hump, it goes down, and then you get that bump on the back end. So
Mm-hmm.
so do you
Yes.
have any books left in you that you want to write? Or maybe a different genre?
Plenty in different genre. Well, I'm writing a couple of fiction books on Sundays just for the sake of practice. Like
Mm-hmm.
in my mind, a writer is someone who writes. So
Mm-hmm.
I write every day, or at least I'm trying to. But as a Christian, I don't work on Sundays, so it's for fun.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And yes, I have plenty of books in me. They just are not there because of necessity, I would say. Again, it's so much effort to publish a book, to launch it properly, and so on. And now
Mm-hmm.
I'm making books on money on those book ads and on coaching. So I put my effort there, building the business, and really with the thought of, okay, I will scale it up, so I will I will make a living, and
Mm-hmm.
then I can do like those creative pursuits or
Mm-hmm.
anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and right now, my virtual assistant is working on collecting my answers on Quora. I have over 400 on habits alone. So I think
Wow.
there is a series of books already there.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. So I want to ask you about what your family thinks now you're like this successful author and you're soon going to be a very successful coach. What do your kids think of this? It's got to feel good to be a good example to your family that you can start something and get it off the ground and be good at it.
Well, you would have I needed to ask my kids, but
Mm-hmm.
well, my wife still till this moment cannot really wrap her head around this. And like I remember telling my mother in like 2000, the beginning of 2013, I will make a living from writing, and she was like, "Yes, yes, son, of course you will." So that really ignited some fire within me. So I will show you. And that's one thing. Another is like my godmother. I gave my notice, and she was like, "And Michal, will you be doing now?" Like
Mm-hmm.
it was outside of her world perspective. How can you not have a job, not work? Yeah. Then
Mm-hmm.
my father, who is already retired, he was like, he will be doing whatever he wants to do, what he loves, and at his own terms.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, there are very mixed responses in my
Mm-hmm.
family circle.
So, some people just have that entrepreneurial mindset and some people don't. If you think of like after the big wars, the mass migration, particularly to North America, I mean, people that had like $2 in their pocket and didn't know what they were getting into, they would just come and not have a traditional job and they would just make things up to create a living for their family. And that's exactly what emerging authors and small businesses like you are doing right now. I think it's fantastic.
And I would say you can develop an entrepreneur mindset because I was I clearly wasn't a material for entrepreneur 10 years ago, but
Hmm.
I grew myself and I had also this in mind. Okay, I have no clue. I don't know how. I had no idea like worth anything on the market. But one day I will have my own business. I will just keep learning, keep growing
Hmm.
myself via personal development. I trusted Jim Rohn when he said, "Your income seldom exceeds your personal development."
Hmm.
So I turned it around and decided to develop myself so much so my income will chase me, which
Hmm.
is happening, I guess.
Is Jim Rome the sportscaster?
No, Jim Rohn is a great speaker who passed in like 2008. He was
Hmm.
a mentor for Darren Hardy, for Anthony Robbins, and plenty of those
Oh,
high
okay.
profile folks.
Okay. And so maybe you'll be doing the high profile speaker things one day with your own
Yeah,
experience.
I like doing this, so why not?
Sure. So, well, Michael, this is the saddest part of an interview for me because it's when we have to start wrapping up. So, before we go, can you tell people, obviously on Amazon, they can find your books, and where can people find you if they want help with their books?
If they want help with their books, go to resurrectingbooks.com and look around. There is an appropriate link in the menu, like sell more books with Amazon ads, something like this.
Hmm.
And there are some blog posts and about how to optimize your book and how to start advertising, so you can learn something on your own.
Hmm.
Again, I'm saying this one more time. The author is the best person in the world to run their own ads.
Okay, great. Michael, thanks so much for being on the podcast. To everybody watching or listening, thank you very much for joining us. I hope you got value out of this. And if you did, do what the cool kids tell you and like, subscribe, smash that button, and all those other things that I'm not really so good at. So, this is Fred, repeatedly dead Fred from the Dead Man Walking podcast. Thanking you, and we'll see you next time.